What's going on YouTube? Is Donnie B all day bringing you another requested knife. So this guy right here is the MTECH Xtreme MX-8054. The MTECH Xtreme MX-8054. That's quattro to some of you. So let's see. I got all this stuff written down on this thing right here. Let's find it. Good thing I'm always ready. All right, so actually, let's take this thing out of there and go over this sheath. First of all, this is nylon. It has what I'm guessing is a leg strap. However, I don't know, man. If your belt loop is here, that means it's only hanging down, 5 inches from there. So you'd have to have that, if you're going to use this leg strap, that would have to be cutting up there in the good old boys, you know what I mean? So for me, this strap wouldn't be used as a leg strap. Maybe, who knows, it's an arm strap. It's a little too small for my arm. I guess I'd have to open it up and do it that way. I mean, I just don't know if it's a leg strap or not, because you have all these extras right here. You've got some extra string right here, and then generally this area right here, a tab, would be used as a leg strap. But of course they put the short cord on there, which means you'd have to have some pretty skinny legs to get that around and actually tie on, where this one would work. But it's a dangler with an adjustment doohickey at the end, and then you have your roll of extra. So it's almost frustratingly complicated on why it would have 3 different points of tie. 4 if you count that, and 5 if you count this. Well, it's not really molly because it doesn't unsnap. It's just extra lashing. And here's the thing is, I thought, okay, well, it's cool, I could take this and maybe move it around. No, this is actually sewn on to the middle part. So you have one on the bottom that you can get through something through to lash onto your molly, but you're not snapping it on. You actually have to tie that onto your molly, or you have to have molly that unsnaps. So the sheath, in my opinion, is not all that great. You do have a Velcro pouch that is kind of rubber lined. And if you've watched my videos, you know I'm not a big fan of the rubber lining, because what that does is traps in water and condensation. So if you have things in there that you don't want getting wet, walking through the rain or on a really like hazy day or a lot of humidity, then you're going to gather moisture inside that little rubber compartment, and whatever in there is going to be screwed. So I'm not crazy about all that. You got a snap instead of Velcro up top, which is good. Does it actually hold without it? And I believe it's ambidextrous, because I had it in there lefty. So it's not going to stay in there all by itself. However, if you're running around and moving, I mean, that's without the snap on it. It's not going to go anywhere unless you're doing, handstands. And that's not usually a survival tip. So as far as the sheath is concerned, not a fan. Just not a fan, not a fan, not a fan. The G10 handles, however, I'm a fan of that. I do like the contouring. I think they look good. They feel okay. They're not the greatest feel. And generally, if you have big hands, what's going to happen is you're going to be catching this guy right here. And this is, for some reason, I know why. It's a finger hole. But, I mean, when you hold a knife, you don't hold it like this. You hold it like this. And this finger right here is going to open, and every time you shift your hand, that hits. So they should have either made it a finger ring, not a semi-ring, or they should have rounded this part out and just made it more of a finger guard instead of a hook. You do have lashing points here and here, which is good for spearing, things like that. It is pretty heavy though, so as a spear, maybe not so much. You have a lanyard hole here and a strap hole here. Now, it's a trapper design, so you have this area right here is going to be your, shaving, stuff like that, feather sticking and all that crizzap. And then here's going to be your main cutting blade for slashing and things like that. You have a saw back, which is very short. It's probably 3 inches on the saw back. And you have a swedged Tonto tip, which isn't so bad. There's a little thumb ramp here, jimping on this side, jimping on this side, so you can choke up or down, however you like it. You have an area right here with this raise right before the saw back. Get it up in there. And which you can use to put downward pressure on if you're doing some kind of filleting or skinning, which it's not what it's made for. So not bad, but true full tank construction. Let's get into the specs. This is 11 inches overall. It's the blade itself is 5.5 inches. It is 5 millimeters thick. It is 440 steel. And yeah, G10 handles and blah blah blah. So that's pretty much what you get in this package. You do have fullers that run down both sides. This thing, you know, they call it trapper. You know, this is more of a trapper style right here. But for me, if anything, this isn't going to be a survival type knife. This is going to be a fighting type knife. This is a defensive purposes type knife, and this is going to be something that you would carry for just in case scenarios and not so much in the woods. You know what I mean? There are way too many options for a woodsman's knife that are going to completely outshine this guy. But this is going to outshine so many of those options in combat application. So, and that, for me, in my head, that's where I think this is designed, is more of a combat operations type knife. This is something where you can cut rope, or you can, you know, knock a bullet off a round to empty the gunpowder, so you can go ahead and make it for fire lighting for different purposes that you might know about. This you could use as wire cutting. I'm assuming you really get a good turn in there. So for me, I would say that this is an all-out combat knife. If you're going to combat, or you're going to an area where you could face combat, having something like this that you can put on your gear and take off and use in a battle, or use to cut rope, or use, you know, for different situations to open your MRE, that's where I think this guy would shine. I know I wouldn't want to be stabbed by it. And one of the good things is, you know, when you are in a defensive situation and you grab and you pull, right? When you stick in, you don't stick in and pull out. You stick in and twist and pull. And with this saw back up here, and with this shape change right here, going in, turning, and coming out, the damage, you don't come back from damage like that. That's some serious damage. So if you're out there and you get encountered by Bigfoot and you need to defend yourself, that's where I think this guy's going to come in handy. As far as a survival knife in the woods, not so much. So what are we going to do with it? We're going to go kind of use it on wood. But that's only because we never get volunteers to show us how willing they are to take one in the ribs. What I will do is I'm going to do a puncture test on a piece of cardboard, in and twist and pull, just so we could see the damage that the hole will make. And we're going to actually get that right now. All right, so I did get a volunteer right here, this Boscovich quality fruits and vegetable box. All right, so what I want to do is I'm going to go in one direction, twist and pull in another. And just doing that, one in, one twist, one pull. Tell me if that is going to be something that your local medic is going to be able to just put together with some dental floss and a fishing hook. This right here, that is some serious hole. And from this side, you can see the enter, right? Watch what happens. When you twist, you're getting your hourglass, your fan, and then when you pull out, you're getting this downward piece right here that just tears it open. And so when you see the Black Widow mark, you know that that is some serious, serious bodily damage. Got the cat in the box. Every time you put a box around, the cat feels she needs to jump in it. All right, so, yeah, all right in there. So let's take this thing outside and see how it works against something made of tree. All right, looks like it's gonna rain pretty soon. What I want to do is I'm going to use this trapper area. See if it's shave sharp. Kind of hard because of the angle. So I'll use the main blade, and I can feel it pulling, but you know, I guess it is knocking off some hairs. So can I say it's shave sharp? Actually, yeah, it gave me a smooth spot. They were just falling down, and I didn't really see where they were. But shave sharp. The main blade, the main part of the edge here, the belly, did a pretty good job as far as leaving a nice hairless patch on my arm, so I look like a circus freak. No offense to you circus freaks. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use that belly for a push cut on some nylon rope here. And 440 stainless steel. It does the job. Now, one thing about 440 is, you know, no matter what, 100%, you're going to be able to sharpen it. And it is fairly rust preventative. Let's see. Tonto tips are usually really good for prying, and this is no exception to that. The prying works out pretty well. Let's do a couple of downward drops here. It is held on with hex screws too, so if it loosens in the handle, it should be able to tighten really quick. So that's not so bad. Let's do a couple hard downward throws. And like always, be prepared when you're playing with knives. Wear flip-flops. Holy shnikes, that's in there. One more of those. Oh, you can see the depth. That's pretty crazy. A straight lift. Yep. Holy Moses. All right, so that works out pretty good. That worked out pretty good indeed. Got some hard vacuum cleaner hose here, a little ring. Man, the birds are going crazy today. Oh my gosh. So you can see, I hope you can see, that is just like popping it straight off. Too easy. Let's see here. Little light chops, and it is no problem taking down the wood. It is a problem getting your you want to push with your thumb. You want to push from generally this area, because it has a saw. You'll either have to go from the tip, which puts your finger really, really close to the edge, or you'd have to back up your thumb, which makes you offset. So you're not going to get the exact balance that you want, but it still works. So here's the thing. What I would do is I would go to this area right here if I'm going to be carving and things like that, and just do it from there where it seems to work just fine. What we want to do is go and we'll feather stick and we'll chop with it, and we'll see exactly how well it does. Got some pretty thick bark here. I just want to take a little who's your daddy. All right, so let's keep going. Well, it didn't take long to change my mind. I had a soccer ball here, so let's see if we can't see that Tonto tip just goes straight in, and it opens right up. There's that slice that just happened. So that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Look at that. Oh snap, I was right off of the film. But anyway, that happened really easy. Let's try it while we're actually in film. So just like that, and again, it just makes an easy opening. So far, don't let the shape fool you. It can work. It can work in the woods. It can work in survival. Comfort level for that and practicality for that, for me, is a different story. I mean, I could take out another blade, some spear point or something, and get all that work done and have it feel like it's supposed to be there. I do have to say that right here on these edges, it's fairly sharp. So when you press your finger into this finger groove, you're going to feel it. Now, what I could do is just sand that down a little bit on each side, and that'll completely erase that problem. And if I wanted, I could file this down, and that will erase that problem. And then it would completely change the feel of the knife to where it might be better suited for outdoors. But you shouldn't have to change the knife to make it work. And well, that's how I feel about that. So let's go. Now we'll go over and play with the wood. All right. So let's get to doing a little chopping. I'm going to try to go just on the belly of the edge here, and it's the hard grip, the hard contours. You can feel them on the hand. That's immediate. I can definitely feel those biting in. Now, if I want to hit the belly and be accurate, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the last finger hold, and I'm just putting my thumb across the spine, or my thumb pad across the spine, and that's how I'm doing it. Otherwise, if I was trying to do this, that's just not going to work. I'm going to be hitting this bent area right here, this heel, and that's not going to work for chopping. So I need to be able to whisk the front of this blade, and by using it that way, I'm able to generate some decent chops. Would I call this knife a chopper? No, not really. Does it chop? Yeah, really. It'll get through. Well, let me see if I can use the inside. And it's working, but to generate that kind of power, not there. Wonder if I can hit this branch with that part. Yeah, I think it did a little bit more breaking than it did cutting, but let's see here. Now I'm going to use the inside right here, that trapper area. And just like I thought, that area is majestic when it comes to making fine work. So this area right in here is really good for feather stick and stuff like that. Let's see. All right, that's not too bad. Let's see if we can get a nice little notch going here. And it's just pretty easy. Pretty easy. The knife does a good job. What I want to do, you can see the notch right there. What I want to do is I want to try notching with the curl in between the belly and this flat area here. I want to try notching a round notch with just that, and we'll see how that works. And I have to say that worked even better. That worked even better. It actually worked much better. So, that does have a purpose. There's some way you could use it. I'm going to try and hit it with that part of the blade. Now, it's kind of hard because of this finger guard. If you get it, you're going to be hitting that before. Look at that. If I hit that, I don't even touch the stick yet. So I'm going to try and get it. And that worked out pretty good. But if I'm going to be doing any kind of hitting, I want it to be with the belly, with that sharp part. Let's do a little sawing here and see if that's going to do anything. Now, that's crappy. What happens is when you try to saw, these sharp areas right here, they get you. Let's see if we can saw a notch. With such a short saw, you're going to get a little notch, but it's not optimal for that. That's kind of crappy. So the saw, they could have done without. They could have made that flat, or they could have just done a serrade. To have it how they have it, I don't know, not a fan of that. But there you go. The thing works. It would just work better for me in my hand, thrusting, slashing, things like that. As far as getting around the hand, it's not really that great. So changing position would take a little bit more work than on some other knives. It goes pretty easy once you figure out the finger holds. You can do that pretty easy. Yeah, look at that. You could until you get a tree in the way, but you can swing it around using that little finger hold. If you got good balance, you can do that. So I don't know. It's okay. It's okay as a woodman's knife. If that's what I'm buying it for, if I want a knife for the woods, I don't want to spend too much money because these aren't expensive. If I don't want to spend a lot, they're just better options. the Elk Ridge bushcraft knife I brought you guys. I mean, that thing for minimal money is just a really good bushcrafter, where this thing is a usable bushcraft, not a really good bushcraft. I mean, if you swing right, you can get your chopping done. And I'm using that little bendy area right now, so I'm getting very little area, but it's taking chunks out of very small areas, so it would take a long time. Let's go give it a toss. All right, let me back up a bit. Let's see if we can't get this thing in there. I told you it's better for combat applications. And that was first time I've ever thrown it. Oh my gosh. And that was crazy easy to throw. Crazy easy to throw with all these little finger grooves down here. Holding it and throwing it, getting away from that area. That was pretty cool. That was actually, that was mighty easy. So combat applications, definitely good for that. As far as being your everyday bring it to the woods knife, nah, there's just too many knives out there that would do that job better. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get in focus here. You know, once it starts getting hazy for some reason, it changes the focus. But I mean, here it is. You can see it. There we go. There's focus. You can see all the details in there and all that. Here's your blade. Right there, you got whatever the heck it says. I didn't read it. Maybe I should try that. Let's see, U.S. premium design. Oh, it just says what it is. Oh, it's 440C. So it's even better. I thought it was just 440, but it's not. And I don't know if we can get it in there to focus, but you can see it is 440C. So the steel is better than your standard 440. Still, it's an easy blade to sharpen, easy blade to wield, easy blade to use. All in all, it's not horrible. It's not a bad blade. It's definitely, for the low money, which I think is sub 30, somewhere in there, it's definitely worth the money if you're using it, especially for a defense knife. If this is your, you know, your fighting knife or your self-defense knife, then I can see why you would want it. But this isn't going to be your everyday survival knife. There's just no way. And if it is, you just have bad taste. Because there's just so many other knives you could be using. I like it though. I like it. I'm glad I was referred to it and asked to do a video on it, because the knife is cool, and this is definitely a, you know, bring to the mall in case Bigfoot's there type knife. So not too bad. Let's see that tree. Whoa, it just keeps on going, man. So that's pretty good right there, man. So that's it. That's your MTECH blah blah blah, whatever it was, the MTECH Xtreme 80 something. I don't know, it's not on here, I don't think, but you heard what it is in the beginning, and you'll be able to read the title. Not too shabby, not too shabby. So we'll get to something new maybe tomorrow, whatever, but we'll get another one going, because I'm Donnie B all day, and that's what I do. So I am Donnie B all day, and until next knife, yeah.